Yes, things are ready.
I think that's right, and there are two aspects to this really. One is the arrangements for the pre-market assessment of the drug on the basis of its laboratory studies and its clinical trials. That's the one part. That's what leads up to the market authorization. But after that, there's also the very close surveillance of the outcomes in patients who receive the vaccine, so that this safety aspect of it is under continuous review, even when the product is out in use. And one of the things the MHRA has been doing over the last decade or more has been building up a system of what we call pharmacovigilance to make sure that there is very close monitoring. So that if there are any untoward effects which emerge only after large numbers of people have been exposed, those are very quickly identified and acted upon. So it's a continuing process. It isn't a one-shot exercise making a regulatory decision. This is a continuous process of building up our knowledge and confidence in a product. And I think the stimulus of a pandemic has triggered, as you say, a great deal of interest in the idea of how can we further compress the time scale, because time is lives. The longer we leave it, if an effective vaccine is not out where it needs to be, then that is costing lives.
And Professor Rogers, we just talk about the sharing of statistics between researchers, clinicians, scientists. But statistics, Professor Rogers, will have another role in the next weeks and months, won't they, we presume, which is part of that process of explaining to the public why this is necessary and safe.
Yeah, and I completely see it as part of my job to do that public engagement and that communication aspect. If we think about how effective this vaccine is, 95% effectiveness, a huge number. Nothing is ever going to have 100% effectiveness, and nothing is ever going to be, without zero risk. But this is a highly effective vaccine, and there have been very, very few safety elements to worry about. The only sort of what would be classed as severe safety events that happened in the study were fatigue and headache, and they happened mentioned less than 4% of participants for fatigue and 2% for headache. So very, very few safety events and very real sort of mild safety events that pass after the first day or so from having the vaccine. So I think it's hugely important that we communicate just how safe this vaccine is and how effective this vaccine is. I'll certainly be encouraging my grandparents to get it as soon as they get their notification from the NHS.
And so, Kent Woods, the one thing we don't really know about this vaccine is how long it protects you from COVID-4, because that has to be done in real time. If we discover that it is, say, for example, 12 months, is it likely that in the future that countries will do an annual COVID vaccination when people have their annual flu vaccination? Do you think this is part of life that we're going to have to get used to?
That's a really important question. And as you say, we won't know until we've had a longer experience with this particular vaccine. There are two thoughts about that. The reason we have annual influenza vaccination, seasonal flu vaccine, is because the virus changes year on year. And therefore, a new virus has to be developed. Again, it has to be developed within 9 or 12 months to cover these newly emergent strains. We don't think that's quite the same situation with coronavirus. But on the other hand, we don't know how enduring the immunity will be from this particular vaccine. We hope that it will extend beyond over a year, but we just don't know. And if it doesn't, it may be that booster doses are required, or it may be that we're going to have to think about the other vaccines which are coming down the track and how we can best deploy these.
And Professor Rogers, all that actually reminds us of how vexed a question this idea that has been floated in some quarters, that you need some system of passporting that demonstrates, that proves you've had the jab.
Yeah, I mean, it may be that that's what comes in, and that might be actually a factor that encourages people to get the vaccine. I think what's really important is, as I said, to try and communicate the safety, the effectiveness, and I think also to make sure that people know that once a vaccine's approved, so today's announcement doesn't mean that we stop looking at this vaccine. You know, we have phase 4 studies which carry on once a vaccine or a drug has been approved, and it is that continual surveillance and monitoring of safety, and to see whether or not that effectiveness that we see continues on throughout. So I think just trying to reassure the general public that we are in a great place and this won't be the end of the story. We will continue to look at this vaccine as we go on. So, yeah, hopefully it encourages people to take it.
And just a final thought from you, Sir Kent Woods. When a vaccine like this is developed, there are obviously lots of people in the UK who are very nervous. There are those who don't want to take a vaccine, but there are those who would love to take a vaccine as soon as it was available. Would a vaccine like this become available privately for some people, or is it important, does the government actually regulate the distribution of this and make sure that all the vaccines that are coming into the UK go to the right people first?
Yes, I think that's right. I'm not aware that there is any facility for putting this vaccine into the private market. There is a huge logistical operation to make sure that the limited supplies initially are distributed and used as effectively as can be. That means clearly prioritising on the basis of greatest need. That's what the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation has done, so that this is not something which will be, I think, available in the private sector. I think this is much more of a national challenge to make sure that this is delivered through the NHS in order of need.
Sir Kent Woods and Professor Jennifer Rogers, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Just a little update to the vaccine while we've been talking. Pfizer, I'll start that again. The UK country manager for Pfizer BioNTech, who are, of course, the people that are supplying this COVID vaccine, say that they believe the first deliveries will be in the UK government distribution warehouses by this weekend.
Well, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, due to address the Commons pretty shortly, actually, very shortly.
Well, let's bring in our political correspondent, Kate McCann. It's a good news day for the government here, isn't it?
It is, and the Prime Minister will want to reflect that when he speaks to the country later. No doubt the Health Secretary will do the same in the House of Commons. But there was a note of caution earlier on today from Boris Johnson, just urging people not to think the rollout of this vaccine will be easy, nor will it happen quickly. And he's doing that because, of course, 800,000 doses in this first stage. That means 400,000 people can be vaccinated because we all need 2 doses of the vaccine, but the whole country needs to be vaccinated. That is an absolutely mammoth effort, not just the distribution of this vaccine, not least because Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine needs to be stored at -70, although it is stable for around 5 days, the manufacturer says, at 2 to 8 degrees, but also just getting it out to everybody across the whole country. That's a huge undertaking. There needs to be technology to track people, to ensure that everyone who needs it gets it. And of course, there is this tiered system about who gets it first, the priority list, if you like. And within that, there will be some big questions for the government, for the Department of Health, about those with extra vulnerabilities, perhaps cancer, other illnesses, who will be moved up the priority list, not necessarily according to their age. So it will be a difficult undertaking, but as you say, a positive note overall from the government today.
And in terms of this vaccine and in terms of people taking it, the government is very keen to reassure the population that it is safe. Obviously, the shot of the Prime Minister having a vaccination will be one that they will want to get out there, but equally, they won't want to bump him up the list, will they?
No, it's a bit of a difficult one when it comes to PR. I think Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, offered to do it live on television earlier on today. But there is a question about the safety. Of course there is. People want to know that everything has been done correctly. And we had that reassurance today from the top experts in charge of making sure that this is ready to go. They say the reason why they've been able to approve it so quickly is not because any corners have been cut, and that's absolutely essential, but because they were preparing to do so well ahead of time. They were getting all the steps in place over the summer when they knew that a vaccine was a possibility, so they were able to be quick off the mark when it came to batch testing and ultimately to approving it. The World Health Organization has now actually asked for the data and for some help if they can recommend and approve the vaccine themselves, do anything they can to speed it up across the world. And crucially, we heard from Sir Keir Starmer in Prime Minister's questions today. The Labour leader asked the Prime Minister for a comprehensive communication strategy so that all MPs across the House of Commons could say exactly the same thing to the public over the coming weeks, because as you hit on there, really, one of the most important parts of this rollout will be public trust. It will be ensuring that people know they can take the vaccine safely and that they can rely on it. And those tests to make sure that the antibodies stay in people's system, to measure how long they are safe for, how long they're protected for, that will go on. The scientific side of this is not ended by any means. Those trials will continue over the next couple of months, perhaps even the next couple of years. So a huge amount of work has gone into making sure that all of this has been done safely. Matt Hancock will reiterate that today, but expect to see that communication strategy from central government and perhaps even the start of it this afternoon when the Prime Minister gets up at that press conference, because that will be key to make sure that people feel able to take the vaccine. And of course, that's crucial to end some of these tough restrictions.
And as well as reassuring those that maybe don't want to take it, the government also has to reassure the rest of us to be patient. We'll leave that thought, sadly. We'll get your response to it later, because Matt Hancock's just about to address the Commons.
And Mr. Speaker, with permission, I'd like to make a statement on the virus vaccine. Today marks a new chapter in our fight against this virus. Ever since the pandemic hit our shores almost a year ago, we have known that a vaccine would be critical to set us free. So all through this arduous year, and it has been an arduous year, while we've been working night and day to fight the virus and keep it under control, we've been striving to develop the vaccines that can give us hope and let us eventually release the curbs on our freedoms that have bound us for so long. Thanks to the incredible work of the Vaccines Task Force, the Business Secretary and Kate Bingham, we've already amassed a huge portfolio of different vaccine candidates. We've backed 7 vaccines and ordered 357 million doses on behalf of the whole UK, one of the biggest portfolios per capita in the world. We've said from the start that a vaccine must be safe and effective before we'd even consider deploying it. Any vaccine must go through a rigorous process of clinical trials involving thousands of people and extensive independent scrutiny from the MHRA, one of the world's most respected medical regulators. Today, I'm delighted to inform the House that the MHRA has issued the clinical authorisation of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. This is a monumental step forward. It's no longer if there's going to be a vaccine, it's when. In our battle against the virus, help is on its way. Today is a triumph for all those who believe in science, a triumph for ingenuity, a triumph for humanity, and I want to thank everyone who's played their part in this achievement. The team at Pfizer, the team of scientists at BioNTech, the volunteers who stepped up and took part in clinical trials, and to the MHRA themselves, who've made sure that this is a vaccine that we can all have faith in. Thanks to their efforts, I can confirm that the UK is the first country in the world to have a clinically approved coronavirus vaccine for supply. And now our task is to make use of the fruits of this scientific endeavour to save lives. Mr. Speaker, we've spent months preparing for this day so that as soon as we got the green light, we would be ready to go. We were the first country in the world to pre-order supplies of this successful vaccine, and we have 40 million doses pre-ordered for delivery over the coming months, enough for 20 million people because 2 jabs are required for each. Following authorisation, the next stage is to test each batch of the vaccine for safety, and I can confirm that batch testing has been completed this morning for the first deployment of 800,000 doses of the vaccine. These doses are for the whole United Kingdom. This morning I chaired a meeting of health ministers from the devolved administrations to ensure the rollout is coordinated nationwide. This will be one of the biggest civilian logistical efforts that we've faced as a nation. It will be difficult, there will be challenges and complications, but I know that the NHS is equal to the task. Rolling out the vaccine, free at the point of delivery, according to clinical need, not ability to pay, is in the finest tradition of our National Health Service. And I'm delighted to confirm that the NHS will be able to start vaccinating from early next week. The whole purpose of the vaccine is to protect people from COVID so we can get lives back to normal. So we will prioritise the groups who are at greatest risk. This morning, the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation has published its advice, setting out the order of priority according to that clinical need. And this includes the care home residents and their carers, the over 80s, the frontline health and social care workers, and we will deliver according to clinical prioritisation and operational necessity because of the need to hold the vaccine at -70 it makes this vaccine particularly challenging to deploy. And while we begin vaccination next week, the bulk of the vaccinations will be in the new year, but I would urge anyone called forward for vaccination by the NHS to respond quickly to protect themselves, their loved ones and their community. Mr. Speaker, over the next few months, we will see vaccines delivered in 3 different ways. First, we will begin vaccinations in hospital hubs. Second, we'll deploy through local community services, including GPs and, in due course, pharmacies too. And third, we'll stand up vaccination centres in conference centres and sports venues, for example, to vaccinate large numbers of people as more vaccines come on stream. This is an important step, but we are not there yet. And so I want to stress that we must all keep playing our part, keep following the new rules that the House approved overwhelmingly yesterday, and remember the basics like hands, face, space, and get a test that we know from experience are so important in keeping the virus under control. Before I finish, Mr. Speaker, may I also update the House on another bit of good news. From today, I'm absolutely thrilled to say that we can safely allow visits in care homes for those who test negative for COVID-19. Coronavirus has denied so many people the simple pleasure of seeing a loved one, which is so precious to so many, especially in our care homes. This is only possible because of the success we've had in building one of the biggest testing capacities in Europe and working with local and national teams working together side by side, something we've often discussed right across this House. We've worked hard on testing, we've worked hard on the vaccine. Our strategy of suppressing the virus until a vaccine can make us safe, that strategy is working. And I'm delighted that we'll be able to see families and friends come together ahead of Christmas, thanks to this improvement. Mr. Speaker, this is a day to remember, frankly, in a year to forget. We can see the way out of this, but we're not there yet, so let's keep our resolve, keep doing our bit to keep people safe until science can make us free.
Shadow Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and as always, I thank the Secretary of State for advance sight of his statement. This is indeed fantastic news about the Pfizer vaccine, and I want to join with the Secretary of State in congratulating all who have been involved in making this happen. We have rightly clapped carers throughout this crisis, Mr. Speaker. I wonder if we should, as a nation, come together and applaud our scientists as well one evening. And it is also incumbent upon all of us across this House to reinforce the case that vaccination saves lives. And if it helps, I will stand alongside the Secretary of State, socially distanced, of course, on any platform or in any TV studio to show that we are united cross-party in promoting vaccination. Now, Mr. Speaker, our constituents will have legitimate questions. And they shouldn't be ridiculed for asking legitimate questions. So will he launch a large-scale public information campaign to answer questions and encourage uptake? Will he consider sending a pamphlet, perhaps, to every household? Now, we know that dangerous myths circulate on social media, and we repeat our offer to work with ministers to curb online harms, and I hope we can work together and take something forward on that front. Hospital trust staff will start receiving this vaccine first. I understand it's a massive logistical exercise, given the temperatures and the need for 2 doses. But could he tell us how many NHS staff he expects to be vaccinated by January, of course, the time when we expect the NHS to be under most pressure? But also, where does this leave social care and care home residents and staff? There are concerns that this particular vaccine cannot be moved multiple times to care homes. So can the Secretary of State set out exactly how and when care home residents will receive a vaccine? And our constituents will want to know, when will primary care networks start rolling out vaccination? And when will the mass vaccination centres he's reported to the House start opening in our communities? Now, we have historic strengths as a country with vaccination, but in recent years we've actually lost our measles-free status because we know vaccination rates can be lower in poorer and vulnerable communities. And we know that COVID has had disproportionate impact often in these communities. So will he ensure there's a health inequality strategy as well in his vaccination campaign, so black and minority ethnic groups and the poorest and the vulnerable don't miss out on this vaccine? I think we all understand, Mr. Speaker, that restrictions will have to remain in place for some time. But can he offer us a time frame or a target for when we should expect to achieve herd immunity and life gets back to normal? Will he consider publishing a route map of what restrictions could be released as vaccination rates increase? And in the meantime, if someone is vaccinated, will they still have to isolate if contacted by test and trace, or are they now released from that obligation? Just on mass testing very quickly, Mr. Speaker, some directors of public health have told me that the lateral flow tests are not licensed for door-to-door testing in hotspots and therefore can only be administered at sites. If that's correct, can he resolve it? If it's not correct, can he issue urgent clarity to directors of public health? And in the government's document published on Monday, it suggests that local areas could use mass testing as a freedom pass. Could he outline to the House what that means in practice? Will local areas enforce rules? What happens if some people are able to follow, have had the test and not had the test in a particular area that is supposed to be under Tier 3? And in the House yesterday, the Prime Minister suggested that people may want to take advantage of mass testing ahead of visiting their families this Christmas. Could he update the House on whether that is the plan and how will that be implemented? We, of course, welcome his news on care homes, but many care homes report that they'll need resources to support this testing exercise. Will those resources be in place? And very finally, Mr. Speaker, if mass testing is to work in these communities, people will need support to isolate if they are found that they've got COVID when they are not feeling unwell. Will he now expand the eligibility criteria for the £500 grant? But this is a good news day. And we should all pay tribute to everybody who was involved. We should pay tribute to the scientists. And I say again, we will work together to make the case that vaccinations save lives.
Secretary of State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I may, the honourable gentleman has worked supportively and constructively with the government throughout this pandemic, and I pay tribute to the approach that he's taken and that he took again today. I stand with him in saying vaccinations save lives, and if we can together encourage anybody to take a vaccine who may be hesitant by appearing together and being vaccinated together, then of course I'd be
definitely on there. Does that test alert button work on stream? I don't know. I've come off the fucking page now. Are you still there, Si? Right, mate, cool. Let's have a quick look, because I want to get these alerts up. Is it top visible layer in OBS? Yeah, it is. It's on top, man. It's on top. But there's no noise as well. My Streamlabs isn't... It's not showing anything. What was the question you asked? Does the alert button work on stream? Does the alert button work on stream? Yeah, no worries, mate, no worries. Yeah, the other alerts are working. The top layer's visible, the test worked, but still nothing, which is weird. No alerts, and we're currently on 4 reactions, and 7 shares. I think they were me anyway, but 4 reactions. The alerts just aren't coming up, which is really weird. But again, like I say, this is all new to me. I've got no idea what's going on here, man. Aye, got no idea. No idea, which is strange. I'm all out of ideas then. Yeah, sorry, Gareth. We'll get him sorted out. We'll have a little look. We'll get him sorted out, I'm sure. Very strange. Well, no, it should be working, man, but I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's me that needs to restart. Maybe it's my computer that needs to restart, I'm not sure. Are you watching the stream? Are you tuned in? Was it looking alright? You can see it and hear it all right. Really strange, mate. It's really strange. Everything's all sweet, just there's no alerts coming up, which is a bit weird. Never mind, eh? We will get them sorted. I'll have to do a little bit of research. Mate, the fucking turning circle on this is crap. Yeah, that's all it is, mate. A few teething problems, but once it's all set up, it's all set up. We'll get there, won't we? Alright, let's get you back. How did you get on, Gareth, with the with adding the profile with the Activision I sent? Did you get on alright? Did it come up? Did it work? Awkward Onion FB wants to be your friend. It must have worked. Josh, hello Josh. Hope you're having a good day so far, mate. Thank you, Josh. Welcome to the stream. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. We're trying to get to 200. We're nearly there. Trying to get to 200 followers. We were trying to get to 100 all day yesterday, all the day before, and we did end up getting to 100. And then overnight, all of a sudden, we're on 200, which is pretty good. You in? Oh, fuck me. I'm going to struggle to get us out of here, I think. I'm a bit too big. There we go, we're out. Right, there's people in this chopper. People just here somewhere. We need to get our guns, though, don't we? Let's loot the village. Hop out, hop out. We've got a loadout coming in about 20 seconds anyway, so... Yeah, it's been proper looted, isn't it? There we go. I'm gonna grab Bertha and I'll meet you over there. We've got a chopper behind us, but I've just jumped out of the chopper. There's 2 boxes here. I'm going Kilo MP5. Jump in the back once you're done. We've got a team in TV. Let's go up and get them. What are you doing running a riot shield? I'll chuck you 2 more lights when I'm getting breakfast at the moment. Enjoy your breakfast, Josh. What are you having for breakfast, my man? What are you getting? I've just had eggs. My good lady, that you could probably see a minute ago doing the washing up, washing behind me. She made me some eggs this morning. It was lovely. Did you press the wrong load outside? Oh, okay. Oh, guy right here. Oh, 1 shot. Nice. I'm coming back towards this behind the truck. Right, I'm in front of the truck now. I'm safe. Have you downed just 1? Yeah. All right. Cool. No, me neither. I do now. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna meet you at the buy box because I need some plates. Yep. Just sit tight a second. Ah! Hang on, I need to plate up quick. Oh, I'm getting fucked here. I'm getting fucked here. But a full English. Nice one, Josh. Full English sounds good, my man. Enjoy. Right, oh, I fucking backed out without him. My bad. Sorry. I have a friend request from Awkward Onion, which I've accepted. All good? Right, let's get Cy Smith up in here. I need to check why the notifications aren't working.